Discernment is one of the most powerful tools we have, yet so many of us ignore it in pursuit of validation, companionship, or a sense of belonging. Too often, we let desperation cloud our judgment, making choices that pull us further away from the path God has intended for us. We find ourselves engaging in relationships, friendships, and associations that do not serve our growth, all because we fear being alone or rejected. Desperation convinces us that something is better than nothing, but discernment teaches us that the wrong thing can cost us everything. There is a moment in everyone's life when we sense that something isn't right, that subtle tug in your spirit, that voice in your head whispering that this person, this situation, this environment is not aligned with where you need to be. Yet instead of listening, we reason our way into staying. We convince ourselves that maybe we are being too harsh, too judgmental, or too sensitive. We silence our intuition, ignore red flags, and give people multiple chances to prove that they are not who they have shown us to be. We invest time, energy, and emotions into individuals who have already revealed that they are not for us. Discernment is a divine gift, a tool that helps us separate what is real from what is fake, what is valuable from what is a distraction. But discernment only works if we trust it. Many times we recognize the signs but choose to dismiss them because the truth can be inconvenient. It's inconvenient to admit that the person you thought would always be there for you is actually holding you back. It's painful to realize that a friend you love does not genuinely celebrate you. It's difficult to walk away from people you care about, even when you know they do not have your best interest at heart. So instead of making the necessary decisions, we hold on, hoping that somehow things will change. We waste precious time waiting for people to become who we need them to be, when in reality, they were never meant to be in our lives long term. When we make choices out of desperation, we invite unnecessary pain and struggle into our lives. We chase after relationships that drain us instead of fulfilling us. We accept behaviors that are beneath our worth. We entertain conversations that do not uplift us. And before we know it, we are exhausted, frustrated, and spiritually depleted, all because we chose not to listen when God showed us who was meant to stay and who was meant to go. We pour into people who only take. We give our loyalty to those who don't value it. We compromise our standards just to feel included. But the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your life. There is a reason why certain relationships feel heavy. There is a reason why some conversations leave you feeling empty instead of empowered. There is a reason why certain people only show up when they need something but disappear when it's your turn to be supported. But if we operate from a place of desperation, we justify their actions. We make excuses for the lack of reciprocity. We tell ourselves that maybe we are expecting too much when in reality we are settling for too little. And settling is dangerous because it teaches people that we will accept whatever they choose to give, even if it's beneath what we deserve. Discernment calls us higher. It requires us to step into a mindset where we no longer tolerate the bare minimum. It challenges us to be intentional about who we allow into our space. It reminds us that just because someone wants access to us does not mean they are worthy of it. But when we are desperate, we lower our standards, we compromise our values, we convince ourselves that keeping the wrong people is better than standing alone. But there is power in solitude when it means preserving your peace, your purpose, and your self-worth. Desperation makes us ignore incompatibility. It blinds us to the truth that not everyone is meant to walk with us forever. It convinces us to cling to people who should have only been part of a season. And when we do that, we delay our own growth. Sometimes we stay connected to people out of history instead of purpose. We say, but we've been friends for years, or I've known them since childhood, as if longevity alone is a reason to keep someone in our life. But relationships should not be measured by how long they last. They should be measured by how healthy they are. If someone's presence is costing you your peace, your confidence, or your clarity, then it is time to reassess whether they deserve to be in your life. It's not always about whether someone is a bad person. Sometimes they are just not the right person for you. Sometimes their season in your life has expired, but you keep renewing the contract. And every time you hold on to the wrong people, you make it harder for the right ones to find you. Every time you invest in the wrong relationships, you delay the blessings that come with aligning yourself with those who truly uplift and support you. And the longer you hold on, the harder it becomes to break free. Discernment also requires self-reflection. Sometimes we attract the wrong people because we have not fully embraced our own worth. We entertain disrespect because we don't recognize how valuable we are. We accept inconsistency because we have convinced ourselves that asking for more is too much. But when you truly understand who you are and the purpose God has placed on your life, you no longer settle for half-hearted connections. You no longer beg for love, attention, or validation. You move with the confidence that says, I know what I bring to the table and I refuse to waste it on those who do not appreciate it. We must also be mindful of the emotional toll that wrong connections take on us. When we are surrounded by people who drain us, it affects our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. We find ourselves constantly overthinking, questioning our worth, and second-guessing our instincts. Toxic relationships do not just hurt in the moment, they leave lasting wounds that take time to heal. And if we are not careful, we carry those wounds into new relationships, building walls where we should be building bridges. But when we operate with discernment, we learn to let go before the damage is done. We learn to walk away before our spirit is broken. We learn to choose ourselves even when it means standing alone for a season. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that not everyone is meant to go where God is taking you. Some people were only assigned to your past, but you keep trying to drag them into your future. And in doing so, you block your own blessings. There is a level of peace, joy, and success that you will never reach until you release the people who are holding you back. Sometimes elevation requires separation. Growth demands that you leave behind what no longer serves you. And while it may be painful in the moment, it is necessary for where you are headed. We must also be aware of the difference between real and fake support. Some people only show up when it benefits them. Some only celebrate you in private but never in public. Some are there to observe your progress, not to uplift it. And if you are not careful, you will mistake presence for support. But discernment helps you see the difference. It reveals who is genuinely rooting for you and who is simply watching you. It shows you who claps for you when you win and who secretly hopes you fail. And when you operate with discernment, you stop entertaining half-hearted loyalty. You stop seeking approval from those who were never meant to validate you. You stop chasing connections that do not align with your purpose. It's time to start trusting your discernment. It's time to stop giving unlimited access to those who have not proven themselves worthy. It's time to stop making excuses for people who continue to show you that they are not invested in your well-being. Your time is too valuable to be wasted on the wrong people. Your energy is too precious to be spent on relationships that do not reciprocate. Your destiny is too great to be delayed by those who do not see your worth. The sooner you start making decisions based on discernment rather than desperation, the sooner you will step into the fullness of who you are meant to be. Your energy is one of the most valuable resources you possess. It determines how you show up in the world, how you pursue your dreams, and how you navigate your relationships. Yet so many people squander their energy on things, people, and situations that do nothing to contribute to their growth. They pour themselves out for those who never pour back. They invest time into conversations that lead nowhere, and they allow themselves to be drained by environments that do not nourish their spirit. The truth is, energy is an investment, and where you choose to spend it will determine what you gain in return. We often think of investments in terms of money, but energy is even more critical because it cannot simply be replenished at will. You cannot pour from an empty cup, yet many people continue to do so, thinking that eventually things will change. They believe that if they give just a little more time, a little more effort, a little more patience, then maybe the people around them will finally give back the way they should. But the problem is, if you are constantly giving to people who only take, you are left depleted, exhausted, and frustrated. You start to wonder why you feel so drained, why your motivation has disappeared, why your joy seems to be slipping away, and it all comes back to where you have been spending your energy. There is a reason why some people always feel tired, even after a full night's rest. There is a reason why certain conversations feel heavier than others, why certain interactions leave you feeling unsettled instead of uplifted. Energy is spiritual, and when you continuously give it away to wrong places, it begins to affect not just your emotions, but your overall well-being. You may find yourself feeling anxious without knowing why, feeling irritable for no apparent reason, or struggling to focus on the things that truly matter. It is because your energy is being drained by things that were never meant to hold your attention in the first place. People often hold on to relationships that have expired simply because they have already invested so much into them. They say things like, "But I've known them for years," or "We've been through so much together," as if longevity is the only factor that matters. But time alone does not make a relationship valuable. If a relationship is no longer serving you, if it is only taking from you and never replenishing you, then continuing to invest your energy into it is a losing game. You must be willing to assess where your energy is going and make adjustments accordingly. Some people are energy leeches. They attach themselves to you not because they love or appreciate you, but because they need what you bring. They need your encouragement, your wisdom, your support, but they have no intention of giving anything in return. They take and take until you have nothing left, and then they move on to someone else who can fuel them. These are the people who only call when they need something, who only show up when it benefits them, who disappear the moment you need support. If you are not careful, you will mistake their presence for loyalty when in reality they are only there out of convenience. The same way we budget our finances, we must learn to budget our energy. Not everything deserves a response. Not every argument is worth engaging in. Not every person who wants access to you should have it. When you start to see your energy as something valuable, you become more selective with where you spend it. You stop entertaining drama that does not serve you. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop investing in relationships that have shown you time and time again that they are not mutual. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that because they have the capacity to help, they should. But just because you can pour into someone does not mean you are called to. Some people are not looking for guidance, they are looking for a crutch. They are looking for someone to do the work for them. They are looking for someone to be their emotional dumping ground. And if you are not careful, you will take on burdens that were never meant to be yours in the first place. It is one thing to support people, but it is another thing to allow them to drain you to the point where you have nothing left for yourself. There are also environments that drain your energy. Some spaces are filled with negativity, gossip, and toxicity. You may walk into a room and immediately feel a shift in your spirit because the energy in that space is not aligned with who you are. But instead of leaving, you convince yourself that it's not a big deal. You tell yourself that you can handle it, that you are strong enough to withstand the negativity. What you fail to realize is that continuous exposure to the wrong energy begins to wear you down over time. It changes the way you think, the way you speak, and even the way you see yourself. You start to absorb the very things you once stood against simply because you have surrounded yourself with them for too long. Energy is also affected by what we consume, the conversations we engage in, the media we watch, the music we listen to. All of these things have an impact on how we feel. If you are constantly feeding yourself negativity, if you are always listening to things that promote anger, fear, or bitterness, then it is no surprise that you find yourself feeling stuck. Your mind and spirit cannot thrive on toxic energy. You must be intentional about what you allow into your space, because what you take in will eventually manifest in your life. The reality is, not everyone will understand when you start protecting your energy. Some people will take offense when you start setting boundaries. They will accuse you of being selfish, distant, or even ungrateful. But what they fail to realize is that you are not rejecting them. You are simply prioritizing your well-being. You are choosing to be intentional about where you invest your time and effort. And those who truly care about you will respect that. When you start guarding your energy, you will notice a shift. You will find yourself feeling lighter, more at peace, more focused. You will have the capacity to pursue your dreams without feeling weighed down by unnecessary distractions. You will attract people who genuinely uplift and support you rather than those who only take advantage of you. And most importantly, you will begin to operate from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. There will always be things and people vying for your attention. There will always be those who want a piece of you without giving anything in return. But when you understand that your energy is an investment, you become more mindful of where you place it. You stop casting your pearls before swine. You stop allowing the wrong people to drain you. You stop wasting time on things that do not contribute to your growth. And in doing so, you create space for the things that truly matter. Some people enter your life not to build you up, but to break you down. They come disguised as friends, mentors, partners, or even family members, but their presence does nothing to push you toward your purpose. Instead, they distract you, drain you, and delay you from becoming the person you were created to be. They smile in your face while secretly competing with you. They clap for you in public but criticize you in private. They pretend to support you while secretly hoping you fail. And if you're not careful, you'll spend years giving your time, your love, and your trust to people who were never meant to walk with you. Fake connections are deceptive because they often appear genuine at first. They know how to say the right things, how to show up when it benefits them, and how to make you feel like they are truly in your corner. But over time, patterns emerge. You start to notice the subtle jabs disguised as jokes. You see how they conveniently disappear when you need support. You realize that the only time they check in is when they want something from you. And deep down, your spirit senses that something isn't right. But instead of confronting the truth, many people hold on, hoping things will change, hoping the relationship will get better, hoping that the loyalty they have given will eventually be reciprocated. Fake connections are dangerous because they drain energy that could be used to build real purpose. Every conversation, every argument, every moment spent trying to make someone see your worth is a moment taken away from your own growth. The wrong people will keep you so busy defending yourself, proving yourself, and fixing what was never meant to be fixed that you don't have time to focus on what really matters. They will distract you with drama, keep you tied up in meaningless cycles, and drain you of the mental and emotional strength you need to pursue your calling. You will find yourself exhausted, not because you are doing too much, but because you are investing in the wrong things. The enemy doesn't always attack by sending obstacles. Sometimes the attack comes in the form of people. People who pull you away from your destiny. People who speak doubt into your dreams. People who keep you in spaces that no longer serve you. And because we crave connection, we often ignore the warning signs. We convince ourselves that it's just a phase, that they mean well, that maybe we're overthinking it. But your spirit knows when something is off. Your intuition tells you when someone is not meant to be in your life. The question is, will you listen, or will you allow fake connections to continue draining you? There are people who attach themselves to you not because they love you, but because they love what you can do for them. They love your influence, your kindness, your wisdom, your connections, but they do not love you. They will keep you close as long as they are benefiting, but the moment you set boundaries, the moment you stop allowing them to take advantage, they reveal their true colors. Suddenly they are distant, suddenly they are offended, suddenly they have an issue with you. But the issue was never you, it was the fact that they could no longer manipulate you. And this is why discernment is critical. Because if you don't recognize fake connections for what they are, you will waste precious years trying to maintain relationships that should have never been there in the first place. Not everyone who walks with you is for you. Some people are just along for the ride. They enjoy the benefits of being connected to you, but they do not contribute to your growth. They celebrate you as long as you are on their level, but the moment you start elevating, their energy shifts. They get uncomfortable when you talk about your dreams. They downplay your achievements. They act uninterested when you share your success, and at first you may make excuses for them. You may tell yourself that they are just busy, that they don't know how to express their support, that they mean well. But over time, you realize that their silence is intentional. Their lack of support is deliberate. They were never rooting for you, they were just tolerating you. Fake connections do not just drain your energy, they also cloud your judgment. When you surround yourself with the wrong people, it becomes harder to hear God's voice. You start doubting yourself, second-guessing your instincts, and making decisions that do not align with your purpose. The opinions of people who do not even have your best interests at heart begin to influence how you see yourself. You start shrinking to make them comfortable. You start dimming your light so they don't feel insecure. You start holding back on your dreams because you don't want to make them feel small. But real connections don't require you to shrink. Real connections don't feel threatened by your growth. Real connections push you, challenge you, and support you even when it's inconvenient for them. One of the hardest things to do is let go of relationships that no longer serve you. It's hard because you remember the good times, you remember the laughs, the memories, the moments when it felt like they were truly there for you. And part of you wants to believe that maybe things can go back to how they used to be. But the reality is, people show you who they are over time. And when someone shows you that they are not invested in your well-being, you have to believe them, holding on out of history, out of guilt. or out of fear of being alone will only keep you stuck in relationships that are draining you of the energy you need to fulfill your purpose. Some people are only meant to be in your life for a season, but because we do not want to accept change, we try to keep them forever. We try to force connections that have already expired. We try to revive relationships that God has already closed the door on. And in doing so, we block our own blessings. Every time you hold on to the wrong people, you delay the right ones from coming into your life. Every time you invest in fake connections, you rob yourself of the energy needed to nurture real ones. And the longer you hold on, the harder it becomes to move forward. Fake connections also come with unnecessary drama. You will notice that whenever you are around certain people, there is always conflict, always tension, always something pulling you away from your peace. It may not be obvious at first, but over time, you realize that you are always defending yourself, always explaining yourself, always feeling misunderstood. You realize that your conversations are more draining than uplifting, that their presence leaves you feeling heavy instead of inspired. And when you start recognizing these patterns, you must be willing to make a change. Growth requires you to evaluate your circle. It requires you to take an honest look at the people around you and ask yourself whether they are contributing to your life or taking from it. It requires you to stop making excuses for people who continuously show you that they do not value you. It requires you to choose your peace over familiarity, your purpose over comfort, your future over history. It requires you to recognize that some connections are not meant to last forever, and that is okay. There comes a point in your journey where you must decide that your purpose is too important to be derailed by fake connections. You must decide that your energy is too valuable to be spent on people who do not reciprocate. You must decide that your destiny is worth more than the temporary comfort of keeping the wrong people around. Because at the end of the day, real connections do not drain you, they empower you. And if you want to step fully into who you were created to be, you have to be willing to let go of anything and anyone that is holding you back. Not everyone who wants access to you should have it. Too often we operate with an open door policy, allowing anyone, everyone into our space, into our energy, and into our lives without questioning their intentions or their purpose in being there. We give people the benefit of the doubt. We assume their hearts are pure, and we ignore the warning signs that tell us that not everyone who smiles in our face has our best interests at heart. But the truth is, access to you is a privilege, not a right. And when you treat it as such, you protect your peace, your purpose, and your destiny. There are people who only want access to you because of what they can gain. They are drawn to your light, your energy, your wisdom, your generosity, but they do not respect it. They come into your life as friends, as partners, as confidants, but over time you begin to see that they are more interested in taking than in building. They want to be close to you because of the benefits that come with knowing you, but they do not pour into you the way you pour into them. These are the people who show up when they need something but are nowhere to be found when you need support. These are the ones who celebrate your struggles in secret but act like they are rooting for you in public. They study you. They observe your strengths. They learn your weaknesses, not because they want to uplift you, but because they want to find ways to use you to their advantage. Not everyone who comes into your life is meant to stay. Some people are seasonal, but we make the mistake of trying to give lifetime access to those who were only meant to be temporary. We hold on to relationships that have already expired. We cling to connections that drain us rather than strengthen us. We convince ourselves that history is more important than alignment, that because we have known someone for years, we owe them a place in our life. But just because someone has been a part of your past does not mean they deserve a place in your future. When you start elevating, when you start walking in your purpose, when you start operating on a different level, there will be people who can no longer go where you are headed. And that's not personal, that's purpose. One of the hardest things to learn is that protecting your access does not mean you are being cold, distant, or selfish. It means you are being intentional. It means you are choosing to invest in relationships that are reciprocal. It means you are guarding your heart, your mind, and your energy against those who do not honor them. It means you are no longer allowing people to treat you as an option while you continue to prioritize them. It means you recognize that not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life, and it is okay to be selective about who you allow into your inner circle. Some people feel entitled to your time, your attention, and your resources simply because they have always had access to them. They expect you to be available whenever they call, to listen whenever they complain, to support them, even when they do not support you. And because you have been so used to saying yes, the moment you start setting boundaries, the moment you start prioritizing yourself, they become offended. They accuse you of changing, of being distant, of thinking you are better than them. But what they fail to realize is that you are not changing for the worse, you are growing. And growth requires you to be intentional about who and what you allow into your life. Not everyone is meant to know your next move. Not everyone is meant to have access to your plans, your dreams, your vision. Some people are more interested in watching than in supporting. Some only want to stay close enough to see what you are doing so they can copy, critique, or sabotage. Some only want to know your business so they can have something to gossip about. And if you are not careful, you will find yourself sharing your ideas, your struggles, and your breakthroughs with people who are secretly rooting against you. This is why discernment is crucial. You must learn to recognize the difference between those who are genuinely for you and those who are just there for what they can gain. We make the mistake of assuming that because we have a good heart, because we would never intentionally harm or use someone, others will treat us the same way. But not everyone operates with integrity. Not everyone values honesty. Not everyone respects loyalty. Some people only move in self-interest. And if you do not set boundaries, they will continue to take advantage of your kindness. They will continue to drain your energy. They will continue to use your time, your talents, and your resources without ever pouring anything back into you. And if you are not careful, you will look up one day and realize that you have been running on empty, not because you lack strength, but because you have been giving your strength to people who do not deserve it. There is nothing wrong with being selective about who you give your time to. Your time is valuable. Your energy is sacred. Your peace is priceless. And anyone who does not respect those things does not deserve a place in your life. Some people will only value you when you start saying no. Some will only realize what you bring to the table when you stop offering them a seat. And that is okay. It is not your job to convince people to appreciate you. It is your job to protect yourself from those who do not. It is not selfish to put yourself first. It is not wrong to walk away from relationships that drain you. It is not unkind to protect your energy from those who misuse it. The people who truly love and respect you will understand. They will support your growth. They will honor your boundaries. They will appreciate your time rather than take it for granted. And those who do not, they were never for you in the first place. Sometimes we hesitate to distance ourselves from certain people because we are afraid of being alone. We fear that if we cut ties, if we walk away, if we create distance, we will end up isolated. But loneliness is better than being surrounded by the wrong company. Loneliness will force you to grow, to reflect, to strengthen your relationship with yourself and with God. Being alone for a season is far better than staying connected to people who drain your spirit. When you start setting boundaries, when you start protecting your access, you will notice a shift. You will feel lighter. You will have more clarity. You will have more energy for the things that truly matter. And most importantly, you will create space for the right people to enter your life. Because as long as you are holding on to the wrong ones, there is no room for the right ones to find you. Some connections are only blocking your blessings. Some relationships are preventing you from stepping fully into your purpose. And until you release what is not meant for you, you cannot receive what is. The truth is, not everyone deserves access. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next season. Not everyone is capable of handling the level you are stepping into. And that is okay. Growth requires separation. Purpose demands discernment. And if you want to fully step into who you were created to be, you must be willing to let go of anything and anyone that does not align with that vision. Letting go is one of the hardest things to do, not because we don't know that certain people, habits, and situations are holding us back, but because we become attached. We hold on to what feels familiar, to what we have invested in, to what once brought us comfort. We convince ourselves that if we just try a little harder, if we just give it a little more time, things might change. But what if the very thing you are holding on to is the thing that is keeping you from leveling up? What if the reason you feel stuck, drained, and unfulfilled is because you are clinging to something that no longer serves you? There comes a point in your journey where you have to make a choice, hold on to what is comfortable, or step into the unknown and embrace the growth that is waiting for you. Sometimes we hold on to relationships not because they are good for us, but because we are afraid of what life will look like without them. We stay connected to people who drain us, who don't value us, who only take from us because we are scared to be alone. We tell ourselves that history is a reason to stay, that the memories we've built are worth the pain we continue to endure. But growth requires separation. You cannot reach new levels while staying attached to the wrong people. Some relationships were only meant to last for a season, but we try to turn them into lifetime commitments. We force connections that no longer fit, and in doing so, we hinder our own progress. There is nothing wrong with outgrowing people. There is nothing wrong with recognizing that certain friendships, certain relationships, certain connections no longer align with where you are headed. The problem comes when we ignore that truth and continue holding on, hoping that something will change when deep down we know it won't. Letting go isn't just about people, it's also about mindset. You cannot level up in life while carrying the same mentality that kept you stuck. You have to release limiting beliefs, self-doubt, and negative thought patterns that tell you that you are not capable, that you are not worthy, that you do not deserve more. The way you think determines the way you move. And if your thoughts are still tied to your past, you will never be able to step fully into your future. Too often, we sabotage ourselves by holding on to thoughts of failure, fear, and insecurity. We replay past mistakes in our minds, allowing them to define us rather teach us. We dwell on what didn't work out instead of focusing on what still can. But the truth is, you cannot build a new life while clinging to an old mindset. You have to let go of doubt and step into confidence. You have to let go of fear and step into faith. You have to let go of playing small and start embracing the greatness that is already inside you. There are habits and routines that must be released if you want to grow. You cannot move to the next level while maintaining the same behaviors that kept you stagnant. The late nights spent procrastinating, the distractions that pull you away from your goals, the excuses that keep you from showing up for yourself, these things must go. Elevation requires discipline. It requires sacrifice. It requires you to assess your daily actions and ask yourself, is this helping me grow or keeping me stuck? Too often people say they want success, but their habits do not align with their desires. They say they want change, but they are not willing to release what is holding them back. You cannot expect new results while engaging in old patterns.